Welcome back to our second ever episodes of Bagels and Bat Flips. This week we have a very special guest, Ben Rosengard. Ben has been crushing it with the Idaho Falls Chuckers, and we're diving into the journey of this season and obviously the upcoming Euros, which are in 5 days from now. So Ben is actually also gearing up for the Idaho Falls Chuckers, the Pioneer League Championship, and also the Euros. So from bat flips to big moments, Ben, this has got to rank pretty high on your list of just absolute dreams come true. So first off, welcome and I'm happy to have you again. And yeah, just tell
Thank
me
you for
all
having
about it.
me.
Tell me all about it. Tell me what's going on in your head. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I feel like I haven't caught my breath, and that won't happen for another couple weeks anyways, and that's the way life is. So we love it, and we're embracing the craziness, and but it's been great. I mean, it's been a dream come true. We talked at the beginning of our season here, and to be in the position that we've put ourselves is pretty special. It's been a long journey, with a lot of ups and downs, and I think we've known as a team here in Idaho Falls that we're one of the best in the league, if not the best. But that's not how baseball always is, and sometimes you come out and there's some reality checks along the way, and all that fun stuff. So, anyways, but it's been incredible where we've gotten today, and obviously it's conflicting with the Euros, which is unfortunate, but remaining present where my feet are and getting ready to gear up to try win a championship here and then go overseas and do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, before we get into the Euros, because we're going to get into that, believe me, I want to start with the season that you've put together because I've been following the whole season and it has been an absolutely insane season. Like I personally have no idea how a club and a major league club hasn't just said, "Hey, we're signing you," because I mean, your OPS is over like 1.2. Like that's insane.
Been a good year. It's been a good year. It's first a credit to my coaches and my teammates and my hitting coach Kyle in Cincinnati and everyone that's helped me along the way and the support system that I'm blessed to have with my parents and friends. And so it's honestly a big credit to all of them. It's been pretty crazy. I'm not one that checks stats during the year. So, they're plastered all over the video boards everywhere we play, and people start talking, and so you hear some things, and obviously you have an idea of where you are as a player, but I don't think I had an idea of just exactly where it was, and it was pretty crazy. And so I'm blessed that happened, and it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of long hours and a lot of frustrating days at the diamond. Have led to being able to grow into the player I am today and put together a season like this, and it's been pretty cool. I mean, never could I have imagined to batting title and breaking a league record, which was pretty just insane is I guess the word that keeps coming up. So it's been amazing, and the teammates and coaches and family and friends that have supported me along the way, I can't thank them enough, and it really is. It's a credit to them.
It's honestly great to just watch and see what tweaks did you make and what did your hitting coach really help you with this offseason? Because I mean, from setting a league record from an average standpoint, hitting 463 and just having a really good OPS with pop, like what adjustments do you have to make in the offseason to get that type of production?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I think there are two big adjustments. I think one is hitting wise, which was it was honestly an approach standpoint. And obviously, my hitting coach Kyle and I, we cleaned up a lot of mechanics and some small tweaks. Really getting into my backside and utilizing all of that through my swing. I've always been, stay on top of the baseball. I'm not big on this launch angle idea. That's not the player I am. We've talked that the home runs are going to come more as an accident as you're thinking a line drive approach. And so I'd say from a hitting standpoint, the one tweak, the biggest tweak was the approach, and it's really sitting on zones instead of pitches. And I think that's been the biggest jump that I've seen, and needing to do it in pro ball because guys have four pitches that they can land for strikes at any time in a count. And so when you're sitting dead red fastball in college and two, there's going to be a pretty good amount of time that you're going to get a fastball to what I've learned very quickly here is that doesn't happen anymore. It's a changeup if it's a righty, it can be a slider if it's a lefty. And so I think understanding the zones that I'm sitting, if it's middle, if it's a guy that likes to pound in, am I sitting in? If it's a lefty and I'm trying to pick up a slider, but also stay on the fastball, maybe I'm looking for something that starts towards the inner part of the plate, and that's the pitch that I want to hit. So I think that's been the biggest part is the approach wise of starting middle and adjusting from there, but not sitting on pitches, sitting on zones. And so that's something that you hear a lot of guys talk about. I hadn't understood before this year. And so that was one thing Colin and I really worked on. And I think it's really paid off. And the other thing was getting in the weight room. I mean, it was the first time I had a full off season without college fall ball or, the heavy class schedule into 4-hour practice days of college baseball. And to be honest, it's hard to gain weight in those situations. And so finally having the time to really shut down a little bit for a month or two and really grind on the weight room and 15 to 20 pounds has made a ton of difference, especially with driving the baseball and hitting for some power and increasing the extra bases. So I say those are the big two tweaks that I made coming into the year, and thankfully they've paid off.
Yeah, I'd say. And I also think, from a standpoint of getting that weight room, you said the full class load plus the 4-hour practice, like you're not getting that much sleep either. So your body isn't recovering like it could.
Absolutely.
So like that plays a huge factor in it too, I would think. I mean,
Absolutely.
now that's why your numbers make sense. I mean, holy crap. For the younger listeners who may be listening to this, how important is off-season prep? Like something is like, because kids nowadays are like, oh, I don't need to hit off a tee. Like you need to hit off a tee just for a little bit to get your warm up, kind of get your mechanics. How important is that stuff to, building up to what you've done not only this season, but even the season prior? Right? Because it's not just, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from a young age, I was, my dad's been a blessing and he instilled the routine and the tee work into flips and the flips into the BP and BP into a machine. And so we've worked on that since I was younger. And so that hasn't ever been a question of, oh, I don't need to hit tee today, or, oh, I feel good, I don't need flips today. Well, no, like you're not good enough, and I'm not good enough. The reality of the matter is when you have Bryce Harper and Manny Machado doing the same thing every day, and they're some of the best players of all time, probably tells you that you should probably be doing something similar. And so I think, the what I've been able to develop and with the help of those around me is a constant routine. It's starting on tee, it's starting on certain drills on the tee, and then moving into front toss, working on two-strike approach. That's been huge, and an emphasis for this year is winning the 3-2 count and also getting to two strikes, but understanding that when you get to two strikes, you can still be a great hitter. And the pressures can still be on the pitcher. So just things like that and creating that constant routine. And our hitting coach here, his dad is Gary Templeton, who played in the big leagues for 17 years. And so, Gary Templeton Jr., our hitting coach, obviously played in the minor leagues and did some amazing things. And so he's done great things for us of getting us different looks on machines. Maybe it's a little more angled one day. Maybe we're working on sliders, fastballs, whatever the case is. And so really just understanding that routine and making it an everyday thing. And it's not an option. It's not something you choose every day. It's something that you must do every day. And that's where it starts to build up and you see the success. And that's where it's pretty cool.
Could not agree with you more. Before we just jump right into the Euros, I have to ask one question. I know the season's not over yet, but do you have, a favorite memory or a favorite game or series that you've played in from the season so far?
It's a good question. I'd probably say, I mean, it's hard to beat the series that we just clinched yesterday to get to the championship. We win 6-4 on Friday night, come back and lose Saturday 16-9. One bad inning, it happens and they put up a 9 spot in an inning and there it goes. And getting a little chippy and they were talking a little bit on Saturday and then coming back Sunday and just crushing them 22-6 and up 15-0 after 7 or whatever it was. I mean, it was unbelievable. So that's going to be a hard one to top, I would say, that series. The other game that really stands out was actually the beginning of the year. I want to say it was right around June 1st, so a week or two into the season. It was a Sunday game. Dad was here in town, which was pretty cool. And I want to say it was like 4 for 6 with a grand slam, and then came up in the 9th with 2 outs and bases loaded. Hit a ground ball through the middle, scored 2 runs, tied the game. We were down 2, so tied the game, and then 2 hitters later, they walked. It was a walk-off walk to win it. So I think that was probably the best single game memory, I would say, from that standpoint. I think it was like 8 RBIs. It was my first professional homer that was a grand slam. So it was pretty cool. Dad was here, tied the game in the bottom of the ninth. I'd say that's probably the one that really sticks out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that actually brings back a memory. I was actually at an event at Anshem and I ran into your parents. I was talking to them. Was this the game that your mom was supposed to be at and then she wasn't there, or was that a different game when you?
Yeah, no, that might have been it.
Okay. Now that you say that,
Yeah,
like he's like, yeah, he's like, told me like not to come and I was laughing because that's such like a baseball player thing to do. So super.
I think that was actually that was the first week of the season. We were playing in Boise,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
At
for
Boise.
quickly for last year. So this was the week after. This was the Sunday after.
Okay.
But for last year, we I started my professional debut was at Boise, and games 1, 2, and 3, or excuse me, games 1 and 2. My mom and dad are both there, obviously supporting me. And I go 0 for. And my second at bat of the first game, I hit a rocket to the third baseman, and he takes an unbelievable backhand and robs it. And I was like, okay. So I'm 0 for through my first 2 games, and my mom had to leave because she had to go grab my car and drive it somewhere. I don't know what happened. So then in the third game on the Thursday, I get my first professional hit. And I told my mom, I said, you're not allowed back in Boise. I didn't get any hits with you here. And now I'm getting a hit with dad here only. And so we started this year in Boise for the first 6. And I told her, I was like, Mom, I love you, but you can't come to Boise. And they've sure enough, the first game of the year, I go 5 for 5. And I'm like, you're really not able to come back. So anyways, so that's our little running joke, but I don't know how much of a joke it is. So uh
That when I heard that, that was one of my favorite things because it's just such a superstition amongst, you know, baseball players in
gotta do
general.
what you gotta
You just
do.
have to do what you gotta do. Mom, you gotta stay home. That is too funny.
Absolutely.
Now I gotta
You can
switch
come
gears.
anywhere else, just not Boise.
Yeah, you can't go to Boise anymore. I mean, I don't know what there's to do in Boise, so it may not be that big of a letdown. But now I kind of want to switch gears and go into the Euros because you guys are starting their games. You got France, Great Britain, and the Netherlands. Now that's a tough first 3 games. I mean, and lucky for you too, you're kind of coming and because a lot of these guys probably haven't played like really competitive baseball like you have leading up and into it, you know? So what do you think the adjustment's gonna be for the team, you know? Because I'm
Yeah,
sure it's very difficult.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you don't see live pitching every day, right? And I will say I'm more encouraged this year because I know that we have some new guys that have made Aliyah and have joined our team, and they have been playing they've been playing pro ball this year. So I think that's good. And I know we have some more pitchers that have been pitching in leagues like the American or the Atlantic, even affiliate ball. I know we have a couple of position guys like myself. So I'm encouraged that we have some more guys than we did last time, but obviously it's an adjustment. It's tough when you haven't seen live pitching for a year, however long it's been, and then you get up there and you expect the results. And I think the toughest part about it too is you see that schedule and it's a gauntlet. Great Britain and the Netherlands especially are 2 very, very good teams that always finish pretty high. Great Britain runner up and the Netherlands third place, I think. So, it's difficult. And so you really have to come out the first game against France and that's a must win almost to guarantee that you at least have the 1 win in pool play. So, it's tough and thankfully, the guys are over there right now, and I think they start training camp tomorrow. So I guess later tonight for us, and so that'll be good to get them throwing and get them acclimated over there and start getting after it. But definitely an adjustment, and it's part of it. And that's when you hope that pitching can help you out a little bit more, and then the bats start to pick up a little later in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's the biggest difference for the pro guys here now playing and you go over there? Is there like a major difference in pitching? Is it like way better here? Is it way better there? Or is it kind of comparable? Because I don't really know.
Yeah, it's super country dependent is kind of what and again, I've only done one of these, so I don't have the biggest sample size, but from what I've heard from other guys, Ryan Lavarnway is one of my best friends, and when I talked to him the first time around, I was like, hey, like what to expect? And the answer I always received was it's very country dependent. I think that's very true. When I go back to the last tournament, like when we were playing Switzerland and Belgium, the pitching was much it was much worse than the professional pitching that we're seeing here every day. When you have a team like Germany that runs out three guys that were pitching in AAA that year, obviously the pitching is comparable, if not better. So it's really dependent. And I think that, France also sees the other teams in that, and everyone knows what the Netherlands, they're playing at home, and they always are pretty loaded with former pro guys like Didi Gregorius and Jerkson Profar's younger brother and all that stuff. So that, they're always really good. And so I think everyone understands that wins in that pool are hard to come by. And, and we're a really good team too. And so might be flying a little bit more under the radar, but, with a sixth place finish in the last tournament, people it's not like we're sneaking up on people anymore, I would say. And so anyways, but yeah, as I digress, it's really country dependent. I would say, for the most part, a lot of the pitching that I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis here is going to be a step up, just especially from a velocity standpoint and a pitchability standpoint. Teams like the Netherlands, teams like Great Britain that made deep runs, they have guys, and they have dudes that either played affiliate ball or professional baseball last year that can throw it and can try silence batters as much as they can.
Yeah. Now that you say it's very country dependent, I could totally see that. What is your favorite part of this Euro team that's going this year from a hitting standpoint, from a pitching standpoint, from a fielding standpoint, from a camaraderie standpoint? Because as you said, there's a lot of new guys, and not that it's gonna like throw everything off, but it could add another element maybe that you never had before.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you're very right. Like it is a very new group. You lost some of the leadership that we had last time, and I think that is the responsibility for me and the Brett Holtzes of the team to pick up. You lose Ty Kelly, you lose Ryan Lavarnway. Obviously, Ryan was our captain, and people look up to him, and so I think it helps when you still have the Shlomos still playing, which is awesome. And he brings some leadership, and he knows how this stuff works at this point. And so, he brings good vibes. He obviously can still pitch, which, if I'm in half the shape he's in at his age, I will be blessed. So, but, I think I'm excited. Just, I was excited last time when I was a new guy and to help impact the team in a positive manner. And I think we have a lot of guys that are like that this time around. And so that's pretty special. And so I'm encouraged that, we've bolstered the pitching staff, which I think is going to be very helpful. The hitting's going to come around. You don't really know what you have until you get there. But definitely encouraged. I think this group is a much improved group, and I think that we have high expectations for ourselves, and that's good because I think we could make some noise and get on a run.
I 100% agree. I mean, just kind of looking at the roster, you guys got some really good players. And the one thing I did notice is you guys only rostered three outfielders, which I thought was pretty interesting. And you have six infielders. So how's the dynamic you think going to look? Can some of you guys play outfield? Because God forbid something happens. Like, what's the emergency there?
Absolutely, yeah. And I know that I was looking at the same thing, and I had that same thought. But Asaf can play outfield. I believe Chase can play outfield. I know Nadav can play outfield. I know Zev can play outfield. In an emergency, I can be out there. So we have guys that can definitely that can play out there, especially on the corners. And so yes, so that was a little surprising that we only had the three, but there's a lot of guys on there that can play multiple positions, which is obviously helpful. And I think it's good. Like in tournaments like these, you never have enough pitching. And so you have to load up on the staff and it's 9, 12 position guys, I think is a very fair number. And, we have some really good, with some really, some new names, but also some guys that you can rely on. Rob Poller is, one of my good friends. We talked about Holtzy and Blake Dickman coming back. So it's exciting. And I think you have a lot of versatility on that team and that roster with guys in the infield being able to play everywhere, infielders being able to play outfield, vice versa. So it's exciting. And I think I really do think it's a strong roster and a good group. And we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, and also, I think Holtz told me this, but isn't Eric on the staff for
Yes, yes.
that?
Eric's on the staff, which is
That's
exciting.
gotta be
Super
electric.
exciting.
Football?
Yes, we have the Holtz family. We
Yeah.
might as well just rename the team. But no, yeah, I'm excited. I've talked to him multiple times on the phone. He's been great to me and talking through my career, and so I'm excited to put a face to the name and
Yeah.
play under him and learn. I haven't. I have not
What?
met him yet. I have not met the infamous Eric Holtz, so I'm pretty excited about that. And having Brett there will be cool. And Mitch Glasser, being around him again will be special. Nate Fish obviously is awesome, and then Alex Jacobs and I talk probably once every 2 weeks. So being able to see him and reconnect in person will be a lot of fun too. So it's a great staff, and I think you guys are excited.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to watch. They provided a link this time, which I'm super excited because last time I
Look at
couldn't.
that. We're moving up in this world.
Hey, listen, that's what I was like. I was like, wow, there's a link. I was like, whoa. So that's so
That's
last
awesome.
last question I gotta ask, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I gotta ask because it's killing me. Are you close to any MLB team affiliate? Like, are you on that track? Do you have any idea? If you don't want to say because you're superstitious, decline the answer. I don't care. I just had to ask.
No, I can absolutely answer. I mean, you never know when you're like truly close, right? And so everyone tells you like you never know until you get the call, and it can come at the time that you least expect it, right? And so I'll start with that. Conversations are happening, which is great. Our staff here in Idaho Falls has been great. Bob, our pitching coach, Bob Malachy pitched in the big leagues for 8, 10 years. Troy Percival is our manager, who World Series champion, All Star, one of the best closers in the game. And so that and obviously Gary Templeton, and so they have a lot of connections, which is great. Our other hitting coach is Billy Butler, and so it's been awesome to be around those guys, and they have a lot of connections. There's been a couple scouts at some of our games that have started to ask some questions, and so we'll see where it goes. Obviously, at this point, at certain point of the year, the contract buyouts don't really happen anymore because come October 15th, we're all free agents technically. So teams avoid the $7,500 buyout fee. So, once we get into October and November, we'll see what happens. And, obviously, yeah, I'm hoping for an opportunity, be it a spring training invite, be it an affiliate deal would be awesome. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think we're as close as we've been. So what that means, who knows? So a little bit of a vague answer for you, unfortunately, but we'll see. But as of now, just focused on winning a championship, which would be awesome, and then going to Europe and trying to win a championship over there. After that, take a deep breath. Little week or two vacation with the family in Europe, which will be great, and then get back here, regroup, and get started on next year and see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, we're rooting for you. I'm Team Rosengard. I'm gonna keep up with you. Stick watching you.
I
I'm hoping,
appreciate it.
of course. And thank you for coming. Anytime, you're more than welcome. I cannot wait until you finally sign with a team, with an MLB team.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
yeah, I'm
Yes,
waiting
God
for it.
willing. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for having me as always, and I'm sure we'll connect after the Euros.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.